When I look back at my 20s and 30s, I realize how much time I wasted chasing the wrong definitions of success. I was that guy working 80 to 90 hours a week as a strength coach, making just $1,200 a month, and then constantly on the road for a tech startup, missing birthdays and anniversaries. I was always grinding, but never getting ahead. I had this nagging feeling that something was wrong with this picture, but literally everyone around me was doing the same thing. I was anxious, stressed, and I felt like the rest of my life was going to be this anxious, endless treadmill. Today, I want to give the brutally honest career advice I wish someone else would have given me when I was feeling stuck. My number one advice when reflecting on my own journey all starts with being from a farm town in rural Iowa. I literally moved from rural Iowa to one of the most populated and most expensive places in the world in San Francisco, specifically Palo Alto. And the one thing I always recommend to people is get out of your comfort zone. There are too many people and too many friends back home in Iowa that never got out of their comfort zone, and as a result, they have been stuck taking the traditional path. When you get out of your comfort zone, you realize that not only are you taking a new job, but you have to create new friends, create new routines, and ultimately learn a completely different culture. Imagine moving to the Silicon Valley from farm town Iowa. It was a completely different vibe that got me very uncomfortable, and this is one of the things that I wish more people as a young entrepreneur would get out of their comfort zone and not take the traditional path and ultimately move away from home. While being in the Silicon Valley and realizing the true definition of sweat equity, that's when I realized all of you people with a W-2 are working for someone else and helping someone else reach their dream. When in reality, you just feel comfort in that W-2 because it's a paycheck that you can bank on to budget and live your life off of when you need to get uncomfortable and ultimately take control into your own hands and get out of your comfort zone of relying on that W-2. I was in your shoes. I was chasing that W-2 journey for a tech company in the Bay when I was in the Denver airport at 11 p.m. and I found out our flight was going to be delayed through the night. This is that moment when I realized I had to quit trading time for money, because at 11 p.m. in Denver, I went to a vending machine and bought a water for $3 that I knew someone was reselling at 1,000% margins. And that person selling those was at home sleeping in their own bed while I was racing after quotas with my W-2 job. The question that changed my life is when I asked myself, what if I could earn with my mind and not my time? And that's what changed everything, because I realized, just like when I'm out here golfing, you can make money with your mind and not your time. When I first earned with my mind and not my time is when I took my emergency fund of $14,000 and invested in a rental property that started making $300 of profit for me per month. That's when I realized the whole passive income journey of how do I get more cash flowing streams like that $300 without reliance on $14,000 down payment every single time. This is what led me to the lucrative minimal capitalness that vending gives you. There is a fundamental problem with trading time for money. Think about it. Real wealth is spending time with your kids. Real wealth is coming out here on a golf course on a Tuesday. Real wealth is not living in a hotel room 4 days a week. This is not what a W-2 is going to teach you. Trust me, I was in that trap. I was making great money living in the Silicon Valley, chasing very high quotas for a tech startup that was thriving. And I thought I was on top of the world because our company was doing so well. But what I didn't realize was I was just another employee. At the end of the day, I was chasing quotas that were made up by venture capitalists that just wanted a return on the money they invested in our company. They didn't care about us. They didn't care that we were on the road 3 weeks out of the month. They cared about their return on their investment, and we were just a butt in the seat for them. This is why building systems and passive income streams is so much more valuable than getting a raise or trying to work the corporate ladder. This freedom also teaches you to separate that time from money, because it's not one or the other. You can make more money without putting extra time. The other thing that's huge when it comes to being an entrepreneur and taking action without getting stuck is surround yourself with the right people. At the end of the day, I know you've heard that your network is your net worth, and it is so true. You want to surround yourself with people that are 3 steps ahead of you. Get yourself in the room where people are going to elevate and make you think bigger and ultimately get you from feeling stuck. These people that always feel stuck don't try to reach out and ultimately expand their network. In fact, most people around you are going to encourage you not to network, because at the end of the day, they will try to discourage your change because they don't want you above them, and they want to bring you into that crabs in the bucket mentality and toxic negativity where you can all complain at lower levels. By expanding your network to people ahead of you and changing your inner circle to 2 to 3 steps above where you thought you got, this is ultimately how you can accelerate where you're going in life. The most successful people, if you think of Elon Musk or you think of any of these people that have really created a difference in the world, at the end of the day, they've taken action. And most people think of paralysis and pushing things off to later. I'll just do it later. And that is ultimately where they get stuck. They don't take any action. No momentum is created. And as a result, they go right back to where they started with no progress. At the end of the day, if you take action, you're going to create your own momentum and ultimately create your own luck. To do this, you got to start small with tiny habits and tiny wins, and let the process of those small compounding things ultimately lead to the results that are going to come from them. I mean, think about it. I was ecstatic with my first vending machine that did $600 in revenue because I was making $300 in profit, which was the same as my rental that required 14 grand as a down payment. Well, now I have micro markets that hit over $23,000 last month. But I got to that level with those micro markets because I started small, created compounding habits that ultimately gave me the confidence that I could really build an empire with this. You can't wait for the perfect time. The time is now to take action, and you ultimately have to create freedom through action today, not what you're gonna do tomorrow. The thing that I love is that vending was able to create stable and consistent cash flow. It's such a boring income stream, but I don't care about the tariffs today. I don't care about interest rates. This has allowed me to build mailbox money, or what I like to call cash flow dividends, to allow me to expand into other income streams I wouldn't have had the courage of doing until I had the vending income from the actions of building a habit of taking action. You not doing anything is the biggest opportunity cost for you to not get where you want to go. I spent years feeling stuck, watching life pass by while I worked jobs that drained my energy and limited my potential. Today, I spend time with my family, get to play golf on weekdays, and yes, make more money than I ever did while working those 80-hour weeks. If you're feeling stuck right now, know that it's not about finding the perfect job or career path. It's about shifting from trading time for money to building assets that work for you. And you've made it this far into the video. I think you'll appreciate hearing my full story about how I went from being burned out to running a vending machine business that generates me over $100,000 a month in passive income. Regardless of whether you copy my path or build something completely different, you'll be inspired when you realize it's never too late to pivot.